Hey, Jeff from Become More Compelling here. Welcome to another episode of Compelling Combos. In our episode today, we're mixing it up a little bit. I'm going to do a breakdown of comedian Bill Hader telling a story. So you might know Bill from the TV show Barry. You might know him from Saturday Night Live. In this situation, he is telling a story on Jimmy Kimmel. I'm going to point out some of the stuff that he does really well and some stuff that you can use next time you go to tell a story. And so I recommend to my private coaching clients and students, really good to have 3 stories in your story toolbox. That way you can pull it out whenever you need it. It might be just to entertain people over dinner. It might be you're in a meeting and you need to get your point across by telling a story. Whatever it happens to be, having the ability to tell compelling stories is a really crucial people skill to have. Let's check it out.
But on that show, there's this funny thing. The PAs would all hang out, and there's this guy named Big. I was Little Bill on that show because there's a guy named Big Bill. He was like 6'7".
So here Hader introduces the characters in the setting. So you'll notice not many details because you don't need to have a lot of detail in your story for them to be good. And a big pitfall that I see that a lot of people fall into is they deliver way too many details and they spend the first 5 minutes of the story trying to figure out if it was in June or July of 2007. Like, look, it doesn't matter. Just move on. So don't kill your story's momentum with burdening it down with a bunch of details. Give the minimum amount of details needed to complete the story.
And there's this other guy named Jason Altieri, and one time Jason, he had this giant Bowie knife, like a Rambo knife, and he was hitting a tree with it. This is what we would do.
So here, he's being very visual. Like he's miming it out. He's using his body language. So anytime you can do anything visual in a story, that's always going to help the story. If he had just been monotone and he didn't act anything out, like, yeah, okay, you still would have got the picture, but you can really picture a Rambo knife. Everyone knows what a Rambo knife is. Miming out his friend Jason hitting the tree, that does a lot to really sell the story and place you as an observer in that story.
This is Hollywood, guys.
You're practicing editing.
Yeah, he was editing. Yeah, he was editing. Yeah, he was editing.
The old-fashioned
way. This is the way they did it on Gone with the Wind. Right?
Here you'll notice Jimmy Kimmel has an add-on comment about, yeah, you guys were just editing. You'll notice that Bill Hader doesn't redirect the energy back to him immediately. This is a big key, and it's really subtle. So what Bill does is he goes with Jimmy into that little diversion, and he even makes a joke about it. This is how they did it with Gone with the Wind. So he expands on Jimmy's point. It had nothing to do with the story, but it added to the enjoyment level of the story.
You gotta get your editing thing together, your editing arm down. So he was cutting this thing, and we were laughing, and then Bill comes over, and he's like, hey, Jay, you should really stop messing with this. This is a cigarette. You really should stop messing with the knife. And Jay went, And he went, hey, come on, don't do that. And he walked away.
Hader is known for being a really good impressionist. That was his bread and butter on SNL. And you don't have to be a great impressionist with your stories, but it does add something if you can add a little different flavor to each of the characters. So you can really tell, like, he's mimicking however Big Bill sounded. You know, he's kind of adopting what sounds like maybe a New York accent, and he even like mimes having a cigarette. So that adds a lot of richness to the story. Compare that to if he had just been deadpanned and like, hey, you should really stop playing with that knife. It isn't the same. It would be a much flatter story. Anything you can do to change your tonality, your voice, to portray a different character, that's always going to add to the story.
Then Bucky, our prop guy, came over, and he goes, hey, I got that exact same knife, but it's retractable. It's fake.
So here, the tension in the story is ramped up even more because Bucky, the prop guy, comes over and he says, hey, I got that same knife in a retractable. And you can hear the audience gasp.
But it's retractable. It's fake.
Because they know that like something's going to happen here. The tension in the story is ratcheted up. And a little subtle thing too, it would have been easy for Hader to just say, yeah, and Jason asked like, hey, let me have the knife. And that would have been okay. With Hader, what he did was his eyes got really big and he kind of made a gimme here motion with his hand, and that adds a lot to the story. So let's watch that again.
That exact same knife, but it's retractable. It's fake. So he gets the fake one. He's doing this. It was one of those things where we waited like an hour. Like you couldn't go, hey, Bill, come over here. You had to be like, he has to just walk over. So we're waiting for an hour, and Jay's like, guys, is he over? Nah, come on, man.
So here, it would have been really easy for Bill to just say, yeah, and we waited until Big Bill came back over. Again, that would have been that would have been okay. The better play here is to ratchet up the tension even more and talk about the waiting. Like they waited for an hour for Big Bill to come back over. And that really adds a lot to the story because, again, you can almost see them chopping away at the tree and waiting for Big Bill to come back over. So the lesson here is anything you can do to ratchet up that tension a little bit more, it's going to make the payoff of your story all the better.
So finally, Bill comes over. He's like, oh, you still messing with that knife? You should stop messing with the knife, man. And he went, huh? He went, I told you, don't do that. And then he just went and just stuck him right in the chest. And Bill went, why? He thought he was murdered. He legit thought he just got murdered.
So here we have the punchline. And the punchline is Big Bill got stabbed in the chest by a prop knife, and he just exclaimed, why? And you'll notice how Bill delivered that line. He delivered that line, his eyebrows went up, and he altered the pitch of his voice. His kind of tagline joke at the end is like he legit thought he just got murdered. It had a great payoff. I don't recommend that you go stabbing people with prop knives. It's probably not going to end well for you, but it was a really good payoff to a short story that was really engaging. And next, we're going to watch an add-on joke to the end of the story. So let's watch that.
And we were laughing so hard. Just went, what? Like, that's the thing you would say.
Call his parents to tell his final word.
What did Bill say? And it's like, wait till you hear what he said when he was done. He yelled, why?
Oh, that's good.
So one of the biggest keys for me is if we look at Bill Hader's enthusiasm, his enthusiasm telling the story, you can tell that he loves being here. He loves telling the story. And he has he laughs a lot during the story. And I actually think that's okay. You don't want to always laugh at your own jokes, but having a lot of laughter and enthusiasm, that's triggering emotional contagion. If you look at like old sitcoms, you'll notice that, yeah, there's a laugh track. Yeah, it's kind of corny, but it's telling the audience like, hey, this is funny. Well, this is another way, a better way to do a laugh track, because with Bill being so infectious with his laughter and his energy telling the story, you can tell Jimmy Kimmel's loving it, the audience is loving it. And so anytime you can just ramp up that enthusiasm when you're telling your stories, that can even make up for, honestly, like a lackluster story. If you're not hitting all the beats correctly, it can make up for that just by being enthusiastic. So the key lesson here is be enthusiastic with your stories, leave out unnecessary details, alter your voice and your tone when you're introducing different characters, and then ratchet up the tension. So if there's some kind of obstacle, or if there's something where the punchline is going to be kind of that left turn where something unexpected happens, like anything you can do to ratchet up the tension, that's going to serve the punchline even more. And just be enthusiastic telling the story like Bill Hader is here. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that breakdown of Bill Hader telling a story. If you have a topic that you'd like me to cover in a future episode of Compelling Combos, you can hit me up on Instagram or Twitter at the Jeff Callahan. You can send me an email at jeff@becomemorecompelling.com, or just type a comment down below and tell me what you'd like me to cover, and I'll cover it in a future episode. Talk soon. Hey, a couple of quick things before you leave. One, I've got a subscribe button over here. If you like this video and you don't want to miss out on a future video, hit that subscribe button. Two, if you like this video, hit the like button. That helps other awesome people like you find it. And three, leave a comment if you have any feedback for me, or if you have a topic or suggestion that you want me to cover in a future video. Thanks.